Film Club.
Everything to do with film.
Thank you very much for joining this episode of Film Club. I'm your host, Andy Harrison. To my right, as always, it's the slightly muttered Andy Donaldson.
Film.
Every single week in Film Club, we invite you along to watch a film with us. We dive into some of cinema's best before coming back here to talk it out. Apocalypse Now.
I thought we were watching Apocalyptico.
I almost called it Armageddon, as always. Apocalypse Now.
So Francis Ford Coppola.
Francis Ford Coppola.
Finally got around to watching this.
First time watching it?
Yeah, Charlie. I always knew it was Charlie Sheen in it.
No, Martin Sheen.
Sorry, I said this morning last night. It's Martin Sheen. It's Charlie Sheen's dad. Yeah,
it's the much better Sheen.
Yeah.
It's like if you took all the natural cool and charisma of Charlie Sheen, but he's a nice guy.
And he's got a cool voice.
I love Martin Sheen so much.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm going to take this from you. Apocalypse Now is about a trip up the river in Vietnam for Martin Sheen to go and take out his target, which is later revealed to be Marlon Brando. I took your little segment from you, bitch.
The Marlon Brando plays a military commander that's gone a bit AWOL and gone a bit insane. So it's throughout his journey and throughout the whole film, they kind of like question what it is to be a part of this war, what it is to be a part of like war in itself, and its effects on the human mind and stuff like that. And
don't you expand upon it? I took it from you.
Smart. It was great coming into it. And I'm not going to lie, we sat down, so I was with my girlfriend for the first half of the film. And I said to her before, I said, don't you be telling me any jokes about what your sister said or anything like that. You watch this film, you watch it with me, or you go home. And she did.
I'm hoping like next time is actually you take her phone off of her, you put it in a lockbox.
I nearly did. Oh my God, she was there. It was like cinema and she was there with the screen on. I was like, look, I'll tolerate that, but next time I'll fucking tell you off. No, but she was all right. And then we both started getting into, well, I was already into it, but she was getting into it after about 5 minutes. And she'd let her comment on like all the like the transitions and stuff like that and cinematography. You jumped straight into it, and I thought it was really cool. I thought I don't know what it's called, where all these different pictures overlay, and you could tell it's like quite an in-depth film. He's losing his mind in the room and everything like that. He's explaining how he's been there.
It opens with like this very iconic opening, which is like the forest of Vietnam explosions, and then him in bed in the hotel room, and then it's laid to what's the music? Oh my gosh. Everyone in the comments right now is shouting at us exactly what the track is because it's a very famous sequence. And he's just going absolutely mental in his hotel room. And it reminds me, weirdly enough, like not in terms of actual technique, but it reminds me a great deal of the same control he had in the opening of The Conversation.
Yes, yeah, I noticed that with a few of the audio snippets as well, like the recording of the...
And like they're totally like, they're worlds apart in terms of what techniques he's using, but you can see the same hand is like crafting and moving those cameras around.
Enjoyable.
It's so good. And then, so actually, just to put a pin into this very early on, because when I started watching this, I accidentally went and watched Apocalypse Now Redux.
And then he sent me a text saying, Andy, I just watched Redux, don't watch it. And then me scanning the text, not really paying attention, watched Redux because I thought I was supposed to.
And so I think we should address those little sequences first, because during while I was watching this, I didn't realize I was watching Redux.
One of them, by the way.
So I didn't realize I'd watched Redux, and then like halfway through his film, I'm itching at a certain point where I'm loving it, and suddenly I'm itching to like just pick up my phone and just do something else. I'm like, what the hell happened here? Or what has happened to this film? And I like carried on, and it got back on track. I'm like, great, back on track. And then it happens again. I'm like, what has happened to this film again? So very quick Google, and suddenly I find out I'm watching the Redux version. And it turns out the primary change of the Redux version is it adds 2 scenes. I'm sure it adds other little bits and pieces, but the primary thing is it adds 2 scenes. The first is when they bump into...
The play buddies.
Yep, the play buddies.
Buddies?
A little bit further down the river. And that was the first scene where I was like, this has gone off the rails.
Yeah.
Because it's this weird repetition.
I noticed that as well. I was watching it, I was just thinking, when she was talking about all this stuff, and I was just like, right, so you've got from a great like kind of theme in it, in the sense of like them kind of like the whole war and just being insane and everything like that. Then suddenly it's on about these girls, and they're trying to like get to these girls. It takes away everything I liked about the crew, the characters.
Yeah.
And I was just like, come on. Not realising that was one of the added scenes when I later talked to Andy about half an hour later.
And then the second one occurs
God, that was awful.
Very close to the end of the film, right before they get to Marlon Brando. It's the scene where they go to the rubber plantation that's being
like
run
that.
by the French. And again, that feels so disconnected. We're introducing characters so late in the film, and they talk so openly about the philosophies and the thematic value of what's going on.
Is the French supposed to be subtitled?
No?
Because he talks a bit in French, doesn't he, and comes back and speaks English.
No, I think you're supposed to feel a little bit alienated.
Oh, thank God.
Like,
right,
I think you're
okay.
supposed to
I thought I
be
just had a
with
bad
Martin
copy.
Sheen in that moment.
Yeah, well, I didn't like that. It was too much conversation. It was too there, and it just felt like, again, drawing away from like this great build-up that the film had. So I didn't like those kind of scenes a lot at all. I just felt like they took me away from the moments. And I don't like it when a film, such an engaging film like Apocalypse Now, I don't like it when it takes that engagement away and then you just like realise that you're watching a film again. That really annoys me.
I'm a little gutted that we watched that version because, like, back to the original theatrical release of Apocalypse Now, it's fantastic.
Is it? I might have to watch it again, like in the future, and watch that version. I'm gonna go towards the end. The end part I felt was rushed, and I'm not a huge
With Marlon Brando.
Well, not just I know. There's like I read a few like little issues and that. I know what we're doing next week because I didn't want to do too much. I know it looked like, and it did actually a really good job of doing it. So Marlon Brando, when he came across, he had a few issues with his weight and like he was turned up a bit like late or not prepared. So they tried to not really include him as much, like obviously his weight and everything like that. But I felt like he got there, and then suddenly it's just like, all right, yeah, you're just locked up now. But also, I know that you're gonna kill me, and then now you killed me. Yeah, we're just gonna bow down to you, and you're just gonna go home.
Yeah, I see what
And I
you
felt
mean.
like it was like that happened, then that, and that. So I actually wasn't a fan of the ending.
It's almost a shame because you get this huge build up.
I know,
I
that's what
really
annoyed
liked
me.
it up until the point where because you get this amazing sort of boiling tension when he's sneaking into Brando's camp.
Yes,
And then you're right, he does just kill him. And
It's
then
like-
he buggers off.
but like it's almost like he expects it. Brando expects it. I can't remember the name.
Yeah,
of
well,
the
I think he
bloke.
does. It's said
But I
early
don't-
on
I don't-
that he kind of knows he's there to kill him, and he seems like he wants to die as well.
So why lock him up and torture him? Why that just doesn't make sense.
The test of, I guess, okay, if you want to talk about the film on its like motifs and themes, obviously the film's all about the descent into madness, isn't it?
Yeah, but
So
all right.
at the point of climax, you've got to push your protagonist to utter madness and then see if he comes back from the brink.
Okay, so then why doesn't it explain about why the photographer's mad and also why the other assassin that came up, why he's mad at all? Not that that's not really touched upon.
Yeah.
Like it's just, right, it's just madness. They smoke loads of weed or something like that, you know. Like, what's the crack? And he just comes in it. I was just felt like,
Are they smoking weed? I don't remember that.
I don't know, but it's just anticlimactic. I'm not going to lie. It
Yeah.
was. I mean, there was obviously that great moment, the scene where he's coming out the water, which is one of the famous Apocalypse Now scenes.
Yeah.
Where he's all like muddied up and it's all red, amazing cinematography again. It annoyed me. It annoyed me. But for the other part of the film, it was absolutely fantastic. The build up and everything, like the what's he called, the boss guy that loved his surfing, and oh my god, me and our lass were like absolutely cracking up and behind the boat, and he's going over the helicopters, going, just give me back my surfboard. I won't hurt you at all. You know, you know how hard it is to find a surfboard that you like and all this, and I'm already cracking up like this, and like we're part of the crew where they're laughing and going fucking hell like this.
It does. What I think one of the best things about this film is the characters.
Yes,
Like,
well, that's what I
the
mean.
way he builds characters is so unique
Yeah.
and it's so intrinsic to like their nature.
And that's why I was a bit pissed off that those extra scenes took that characterization away, or at least it like kind of like shot it out the window almost.
Well, I think it's because they also occur at particularly darker points of the film. Like they are occurring further down the river, where these characters are starting to lose their brighter edge and they're starting to be much more grim and much more stark in the way they face the idea of war.
I do appreciate how the river is almost like them going down the river is almost like Dante going into the Inferno.
Yeah.
Do you know, like, his descent into not necessarily madness, but into the madness of hell.
No, absolutely, it is. It's completely a descent into madness. Like over time, that crew, and particularly Martin Sheen, slowly start to lose that bright edge they've got at the beginning of the film. Do you remember early on, though, like they're skiing on like the waves of the boat and stuff, and like they're all chilling out at the beach, and like they're surfing with the other members, and it's all this sort of setup to then have them broken down over the course of 3 hours.
I think
2 hours if you watch the theatrical.
I think there's two scenes that I really, really enjoyed in terms of like the breakdowns. The first wasn't as much, but it's when he goes away. It's when I don't know his fucking name. What's his name?
Martin Sheen.
Martin Sheen. Willard, isn't it? And he goes up and he goes to try and find some fuel. And he's at that camp and that guy's just on the gun going fucking, like this. I can hear him. And there's obviously no leader or so like that. These guys are just lost, fighting like a known victim. That guy comes up with a grenade launcher, shoots it over. He's had enough and he just goes, who's your leader of this? Like, who's your officer?
Who's your commander?
Yeah, commander. That's a commanding officer. He just looks at him, walks away, and I thought, oh, it's like gritty like that. It's war film gritty that. I like that. I'm a fan of war films, you see. I know you're not as much, but this is a bit different as war film.
This is the funniest thing, is that like you normally love war films. This is a bit lukewarm for you, and I normally hate war films. This is like brilliant for me.
But the scene that won it for me was, and they just sent into madness, was where they find that boat and they're trying to get that rice and stuff like that. And
I knew you were going to say this. That's brilliant.
Hands down. It shook me. It shook me up a bit.
I did something I never do.
What?
I rewatched it.
Did you?
I let that scene played out. I was like, going back and rewatching it. Yeah. It
was intense, and the way he just like lets go of the gun like this because that woman's going up.
Yeah.
And I knew there wasn't anything in the box. I wanted something like to be in the box, like guns and everything, but I knew there wouldn't be because the way the film's going, it can like. It has to be that for added effect, like that shock factor. And when it comes out with a dog, so cute as a golden retriever puppy, what the fuck?
And then I love that the dog stays with them for a while.
He does,
almost as this like it's a slightly haunting reminder of what's happened. But then as they pass that threshold and dive deeper into the heart of darkness, as the book would tell us, as they go deeper down the river, the dog is also let go.
Yes. I feel like there's another factor towards the end as well. The surfer guy who's like the only part of the crew left.
Yep.
Because I think Mustache guy dies. Is that why his head gets put in his body? When he's
Chef's the head that gets thrown onto his lap.
I thought so, yeah. But like the surfer guy, what happens to him? He just gets hand walk away. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I know these guys just want to party, but why aren't they getting him in it? No, just telling me. Laurence Fishburne plays Mr. Clean. How was that? Laurence Fishburne.
What?
Young Laurence Fishburne. You know the bloke who gets shot by the bullets when those tasers bullets are going across? He's got the smoke flare. The surfer guy's got smoke flare.
Yeah.
And then just after that, they get shot by loads of taser rounds. Taser rounds, is that the word?
The one who, as he's dying, his tape is playing from home.
Yeah. That's Laurence Fishburne.
Fuck off.
Yeah, that's Laurence. Honestly, it's Laurence Fishburne, mate. And I was like, what? Because I saw him in the cast there. I was like, what?
You are taking the mick.
No, mate, that's him. Obviously, you got Brando as well. There were a lot of things we could say about this, but I think the performances is another factor. Obviously, the cinematography and the performances in this. We start the performances first.
You're not wrong. Oh my God, that's young Laurence Fishburne.
I know. It's weird, isn't it? Weird. And I think each one of them is just an amazing job. I know Marlon Brando, if you start with him, he's not in the film that much, but he really portrays that character really well. He really gets in the moment of almost the humanization of insanity and the idea that, like, look, this is my perspective. Is it right? Is it wrong? Well, leave it, How is it? What's your...
He's like, if you want to talk about performances, and I want to intermingle this with directorial style, like from Coppola, and the cinematography within this, but the pure like presence that character is given from the moment he hits the screen, where like he's in the shadow for long periods of time. He leans forward. He's got this commanding voice that's but it's almost got like a mumble to it as well. And that typical Brando sort of thing. And then to have him finally lean forward and like his head's down and like he's his hands going across like the top of his skull, and like the way they'll often shoot him on like a low angle to look up at him a little bit and give him this power, to give him this sort of like, it's just incredible. The fact that this guy doesn't have, you don't give much, like, you get little bits of backstory as Martin's reading his files and stuff.
I like that, by the way.
Great. And then to finally have this character who just like, he just dominates that scene as soon as he enters it. He's so good. And like, I was trying to figure out where the line was. Like, was it Brando's performance, or was it Coppola's directing style that was giving it, or was it the cinematography? And
combination.
It's his perfect blend. Which at the end of the day, you give it to Coppola because that's the director's role.
Yeah.
Like,
I guess so, yeah.
Well done. Like, that's so powerful. Talk about, like, people talk about powerful on-screen villains, and I know that he's not a villain in the classical sense of it, but that is up there in terms of villain. One of the most memorable just presences in a film.
He reminded me of what's his name, who plays Kingpin off the Netflix Daredevil series. Just that imposing power. It's a bit of a weird thing to compare to, but like
Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you. The presence and just the voice and this way, like he puts his, you're like, okay, he's another one like Bane in The Dark Knight Rises. How he just, I know he doesn't do this, but he puts a hand on his shoulder.
Yeah.
It's those things like that.
It's weird because like you can kind of see the influence this has had on certain villains.
Yes.
In cinema going forward, but I'm almost surprised it hasn't been more influential in the way like villains are presented. I almost expected more of this to be represented in future films.
Charlie Sheen. No, Michael Sheen.
Martin Sheen.
So Michael Sheen is, I think, the cousin of Charlie Sheen, who's in like.
Who's Michael Sheen?
Michael Sheen. He's in. I know he's the one I know the most is Tron Legacy. He's in a wealth of other films.
Okay.
Wealth of other films. But yes, Martin Sheen, absolutely fantastic. I loved his performances. I love his voiceover, and I loved how he like. Again, from that first scene, then throughout the film, he's trying to like befriend the guys, and he's like having a bit of laugh with them. Even that bad scene with the girls, he's like training them over for things. He's like this humanization to his character, besides him being an assassin. And then obviously like that descent into madness and come back at the end.
He has like a really fine line to walk where like he's got to be the eyes of the audience, and he's kind of got to be somewhat neutral and observant, but also ultimately take a side on this.
Yeah,
and he plays it like perfectly.
Yeah. So for me. We haven't even fucking touched on the fucking music this film. Jesus Christ, it was good. It was Coppola again, smashing the sound and the music and everything like that, much like he did in Godfather, which you're yet to see. Music's amazing in that. And the conversation as well. But this is just like the range of songs that have there, like all of like the classics in the rock, like obviously he's famous for that tune. I can't remember what it's called. Do do do. No, that's not on this one. No, it's where
the famous tune. No, do do.
No. The helicopters come and it's like silhouetted by orange and red and everything like that, and it's just it's amazing. And obviously that song in there, I can't remember the name of the song. That's like huge. You know, the legacy of that is amazing. And the cinematography, of course, is superb as well.
Before we wrap this up, Vittorio. I'm gonna fuck his surname here.
Oh, what?
Vittorio Storaro.
Dude.
Oh, dude.
The music was by Carmine Coppola and Francis Coppola.
Oh, really?
No way.
That's pretty cool. Because I know that his wife was quite heavily involved in the production of this as well.
Oh my days, she did music for The Godfather. Wow. Fucking ace.
And we're going to explore that a little bit next week. So I hope that you've enjoyed this episode of Film Club. If you want to let us know what you thought of Apocalypse Now, you can let us know in the comments below, or you can hit us up on Twitter, as always. But we'll be back once again next week, where this time we're going to take a look at something Apocalypse Now adjacent with Hearts of Darkness, which is actually our very, very first documentary on the channel.
Based on Apocalypse Now.
It's the making of Apocalypse Now. If you've never seen it, please go and watch this because everyone has said it's utterly stunning. I am so excited to watch this.
People said it's on par with Apocalypse Now, if not better, didn't they?
Lots of people say it's better than Apocalypse Now. The story of how he tried to make this. I mean, if you look at it, one thing we didn't mention throughout the episode.
Oh, the production's insane.
The production is like...
Fucking hell.
It's like,
that's the first thing I was going to say.
Did you make that?
The production's insane. Like, the setting and everything, the scenes and all those boats. There's a really good shot where the camera's going around, everything's happening, you see, like, Martin Sheen in the background smoking away, and there's his camera in the boat, and I'm like, how the fuck do you do that with everything there?
There's times where you look at it and you go...
choreography is class.
And you think, how did you not make that without an actual war going on in Vietnam?
We'll touch on that in the next week's episode about that.
So anyway, if you want to be part of the club, you get watching, and we'll see you back here next week to discuss Hearts of Darkness.